my senior year, I took night classes at the Technical College in Commercial Art Illustration.
Okay.
And so that was, I guess, really my first step of formal education in art.
Right.
And then ended up transferring to Maya at that time.
Right. To the Artist Connection. My name is Fred Robinson. Thank you for watching. Today we have Brad Anthony Bernard as your featured artist. How you doing, Brad?
Doing good. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, good. Thank you for participating, man. You know, I've known you for a while now. You actually was involved in the Greenwood Park when we first started. So I've interviewed other artists, and I said, let me go back to where it began. So we appreciate you, brother. Yeah. So we have a few questions for you, man. And,
all right, I'm ready for you.
Just make it happen. Right. So first question is, how did you get interested in art?
Well, you know, it's an interesting story how I even arrived at being an artist because as a child, there were a few times I had been sent to my room on punishment. And so while being in my room on punishment, I would spend my time doing art. And I have an older sister who was a very talented artist as a teenager. Okay. She had won one of those Draw Pinky the Mouse contests you'd see in Reader's Digest magazine.
Right.
And so she had a bunch of correspondence art course instruction books. And so I used to watch my sister do art. And then I used to look at her instruction books. And so then when I would be on punishment in my bedroom, I'd be in there trying to draw pictures like my sister. Right. So, you know, that's how it really got started. And my father, concerned that I was too quiet in the room while on punishment, said, well, what is that boy in there doing? And they look in on me, and there I am doing art. So my parents at that time said, well, if that's something he's going to spend his time doing, we need to at least support that. So. Right. They always supported it. When I thought I wanted to play ball, my father said, well, they're going to break you on that field. What you need to do is go sit down and draw. Right. And do that, you know. Right. So even when I thought I wanted to be an athlete, they always supported my doing artwork. Okay. So it's basically something that came good out of something bad, would you say? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool, man. So give myself and the audience a little history about your education background. Well, you know, I did my formal college education, Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and that was between the years of, I say that was from 90 to 93. I did my master's work at the University of Mississippi in Oxford, Mississippi, where I got my MFA degree in painting. And so from there, you know, I had opportunities to teach in the community, all age groups, junior high, high school, mentally ill, elderly, developmentally disabled. So even those years before grad school here in Milwaukee, I had an extensive amount of experiences working with different populations doing art workshops. And also at that time, the Milwaukee Inner City Arts Council was still in existence. So just as a young artist, working with community youth, doing murals in the community, doing portraits at different festivals, whether that had been Garfield Days, Juneteenth Festival, African World Festival. And so a lot of those earlier experiences are what sent me on my way. And so after grad school, I taught high school for about 4.5 years. I got my certification in advanced placement, AP programs, where high school students are actually able to get college credit for advanced placement courses in high school. Okay. So I was certified to do that, and the beauty of that is I was able to teach my high school courses as much like a college prep course as possible. So the whole time I taught high school, I literally was on the market looking for a college teaching job. Okay. So my first college teaching job was at Mount Mary University here in Milwaukee. Okay. I taught there from 2008 to 2014. Right. And then in 2014, I resigned from that position and I taught at Coahoma Community College, HBCU, in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Okay.
And actually, a lot of my time spent in Mississippi, both from 2000 to 07, and then from 2014 to 2018, befriended and met quite a few different Hill Country, Delta Blues musicians, and so that's a lot of what inspired my artwork after receiving my master's degree. Spending time with those musicians who I did not know were internationally known or even nationally known at the time.
Right.
But after befriending them, spending time with them and their families from time to time, and then learning later on how they were known in different parts of the world.
Right.
So that was just profound how that impacted me, and it definitely inspired a lot of artwork for me.
Okay. Now, to back up in regards to your education, you mentioned something by the name of MFA.
Masters of Fine Arts.
Okay. All right.
And then, of course, the BFA is the Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Okay.
So the Bachelor of Fine Arts received that from Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, MIAD, and that qualifies you to just do art and people can take you seriously, right? Not every artist needs to have a degree, and not every person with an art degree is a functioning, practicing artist.
Right.
But the MFA in itself is a terminal degree as far as visual arts, just like a PhD is terminal for a doctor, or a PhD is terminal for an art historian. The PhD gets you a doctor status, whereas the MFA doesn't make you a doctor, but it's a professor of fine art. So that qualifies you to teach at a college level.
Right. Now, what made you say it was important to get the degrees? Because like you just said, you can be an artist, but without these degrees. So when you were, years ago, when you were thinking about doing it, where were you looking at in the future to say, let me go get these credentials?
Well, my parents and my family is very strong on education.
Okay.
So although my parents were very supportive of me pursuing an art career, they wanted some sort of collegiate degree to go along with that pursuit, as opposed to just saying, well, if you want to do art, go ahead and do that, and just be off doing art, doing whatever, which I understand the importance of higher education, and understanding that college isn't necessarily for everybody, but for me, it gave me an anchor, especially at a young age, having something that was going to keep me focused. I say in a lot of ways, that's what...
Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing, open for all of your art needs. Located at 4233 West Fond du Lac Avenue, open Mondays through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now featuring African American and contemporary artwork for local, national, and international artists. Your local shop for mask and statuettes, mud cloths, royal cloths, and salt lamps. Call 414-444-5166 or follow their Facebook. Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing, 4233 West Fond du Lac Avenue.
Probably saved my life. From getting led astray into other things and distractions, I always had my art as an anchor.
So now, year 2023, all of that education that you have, would you say it paid off for yourself?
It's paid off because I made sure to make it pay off.
Right, there you go.
Because the degree doesn't make the artist makes the degree happen. And that's something I try to instill in my students, because many of them might have different social anxieties, might be a little socially inept, might have just different challenges as far as socialization skills. In the age of social media and technology, interpersonal communication is damaged as far as how people communicate with each other. So in many ways, I think coming up in the time that I did, there was no social media. So I had to be very resourceful about relationships I developed, the networking that I was able to do, and how I was able to leverage those relationships and those different experiences to create the reputation that I've established over the last 25, 30 years.
Okay, so now when I asked the question, you started at 1992, 93. So are you from Milwaukee, and did you go to school in Milwaukee?
Well,
high
I'm
school?
originally from Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, Madison. I never knew that. Really?
Yeah, and I moved to Milwaukee in 1988.
Okay.
And I missed the registration cycle for that year to start at MIAD that fall. So I started at MIAD in the fall of 1990.
Okay.
While in Madison, I did attend the MATC in Madison, the Madison Area Technical College, where I was a dual enrollment student as a high schooler. So my senior year, I took night classes at the Technical College in commercial art illustration.
Okay.
And so that was, I guess, really my first step of formal education in art.
Right.
And then ended up transferring to MIAD at that time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So you're heavy educated in the industry that you have. That's cool.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, academia is its own thing because you have people that are artists who work more in the academic sense. I've been more of a community artist that's worked extensively with community. And then also, while working with community, establishing different patron bases as far as my own personal work.
Okay.
So whether doing public art and commission within the community or establishing patron base, selling my own work within the community.
Okay.
So those are things I had to learn on my own after my education.
Right.
So one thing about pursuing a degree, the education will teach you how to research, how to critical think, and how to be able to adhere to deadlines and follow through.
Okay.
So in terms of the training of being an artist, school is going to teach you all that.
Right.
But what you do with those skills is up to you as an individual to figure out what you want to do. Because often what I tell students is you're going to be an entrepreneur, an activist, or an educator.
Right.
Or a combination of all three.
Right.
Because at some point you're going to have people that want to learn about your artwork from you or learn how to do the artwork, or they're going to want to hire you to do an art service or purchase artwork from you.
Right.
But in each of those situations, you may find yourself being a voice for people that may be voiceless as far as activism is concerned. And we saw a lot of that even with the Black Lives Matter protests going on after George Floyd was killed.
Right.
You had a number of different murals going up around this city, around Madison, around different parts of the country, where people were actually able to use artwork as a voice of protest.
Right. Now, would you consider yourself as an individual that's a voice for the voiceless here in the city?
Well, I'm not necessarily a voice for the voiceless, but I believe my artwork stands in the gap where public education falls short.
Okay.
I'm a product of public education,
right.
But I also know that the integrity of public education is different based on the districts that you're living or raised in. And the school district I was raised in Madison had a functioning, flourishing school district. It wasn't fledgling. There wasn't mismanagement of funds. There wasn't neglect, that sort of thing. So not all schools are created equal,
right.
and not all school systems are created equal. So I was fortunate enough to be in an environment that that nurtured that.
Okay.
Nurtured success.
Right.
But I think it's important that the arts stand in the gap where education falls short, because there's a lot of history that's not taught. And there's a lot of local cultural history that's not necessarily taught in the school either. So a lot of my personal integrity behind my public art commission work as far as murals is that it has to be something relevant to the community or relevant to the history of the city or the surrounding community.
Okay.
So that there might be something people can look at it and walk away with. They're either going to be engaged, informed, or educated.
Right.
Before they're entertained. Because there's a lot of murals that are just wall decoration, which is fine. Wall decoration has its place. But I think there's too many disenfranchised youth and just people in general. If my artwork can educate people and inform them about something they need to know, that's what I wanted to do.
So good. Right. Okay. All right. So let's kind of switch directions. What is the difference between 2D art and 3D art? Explain that to me.
2D, two-dimensional art, any kind of art created on a flat surface.
Okay.
Clearly, much of what you have here in the gallery is 2D art. But then, of course, 3D art is anything that's made in a sculptural sense that you can look at it from all angles.
Okay.
Or if it's something that is created out of a different material, such as wood carving or clay sculpture or plaster sculpture.
Right.
And so I enjoy all forms, 2D and 3D art.
Okay.
I have had my stint with doing 3D sculpture that accompanied two-dimensional paintings that I had created.
So you're saying you've done sculptures? I never knew.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I've done plaster sculptures as well as iron sculptures.
Really?
Yeah. Now, a lot of that experience was left over from graduate school.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. It's just it's already tricky enough to sell two-dimensional artwork,
Right.
let alone selling sculptures as well.
Right.
But some people have that aesthetic.
The Artist Connection podcast was generated from many conversations with local artists around the lack of opportunity to showcase their talent. Here at Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing, we recognize our local talent and strive to connect artists with the community. Please enjoy this opportunity to hear from local artists and learn more about what inspires their work.
Greenwood Park Gallery and Framing specializes in custom framing, printing on canvas, and selling contemporary and African American art, all housed in our 3,000 square foot art gallery. We are centrally located in Milwaukee at 4233 West Fond du Lac Avenue. We recognize local artists and strive to connect local talent with the community. We're asking for your support. Contact us to find out how you can help sponsor the work we're doing to highlight local artists in our community.